Welcome to the Personal Pension Radio Podcast, where it's all about helping you complete your financial journey to retirement. Discover time-tested strategies and get unconventional insights into wealth building and retirement that actually work. Break away from the herd and go for the retirement you dream of. And now, here's your host, the income engineer, Kraig Strom.
All right, back on Personal Pension Radio. This time, a little different. Welcome to the Personal Pension Radio Workshop. This is my actual wood shop in the backyard. Behind me, projects a go-go all over the place. Mostly projects in my house these last few weeks. Painting the kitchen prior to building my own countertops. Yes, I am going to build my own countertops. So, broadcasting from the workshop today, running it differently. Last time I did a man on the street episode, doing YouTube videos now on a regular basis. I want to mix it up, do something different. This time, actually recording the podcast directly to my standard podcast recording app on my iPad, as well as with the camera here with my Motorola G7, this whole new setup that I've done on a very thrifty budget. We'll see how everything comes out. Now, my mission as the income engineer is to deliver that retirement dream, to really help people think about retirement income planning from the right perspective. That is the key. Wall Street talks about retirement, and the answer is always the same: invest, invest, invest. Save more money. Do you want to have a big retirement vacation budget? You need to save more money. You must invest more. Going to send your kid to college? Invest. You lost your dog? You probably did not invest enough. The idea is that investment alone is not the answer to maximum retirement income. You have to have a coordinated approach. And my commitment is to bring to you a thought process, a contrarian point of view oftentimes, to help you ask the right questions. Whether you're working with me or another financial advisor, heck, I'd love to work with you. I work with clients all over the country thanks to the miracle of technology nowadays. And yet, if you're working with someone else, that's awesome. Just ask the right questions. One of those questions to ask all the time is, what is my retirement income plan? Retirement income plan. Use that phrase, because a retirement income plan is not invest more money. Yes, investments are critically important. You've got to have all of those things going together, but no one thing or product answers the question of maximum retirement income. You can't get an investment to do it. Real estate won't do it. Life insurance won't do it. Various types of miscellaneous specialty investments won't do it. You've got to have an integrated approach where everything comes together for that maximum income result. That's my tagline. I am the income engineer. I realized years ago that was not being clearly taught to me as a young financial advisor, and it wasn't being taught to the general public, that the rules of economics pertaining to retirement income completely different than the rules related to retirement investing. Totally different economics. You've got to have a plan to integrate all of the different aspects of retirement income planning, or you're going to be in for a world of disappointment. Now, before I forget, the disclosure. Folks have asked me repeatedly lately, why so many disclosures? Somebody heard my voicemail. If you want to hear my voicemail, send me an email. I'll send you back my cell phone number, and you can listen to my voicemail. I am an actual licensed, certified financial planner, investment advisor representative. Therefore, I have regulatory oversight. I have rules and regulations to follow. Unlike financial entertainers, I actually have to follow a bunch of rules. And that includes disclosures like this. I am not a certified public accountant. I am not an attorney. I am a certified financial planner professional, and as cool as this video and my workshop and the podcast makes me sound, and the 21 years of experience that I have, Please don't act on anything that you hear on my show as if you're hearing advice for you specifically, because you're not. You've got to meet with a qualified financial planner, hopefully a certified financial planner professional, so they can get to know you and your specific situation. Then, and only then, are you in a position to be able to get actionable advice. I would love to be that person. I'm raising my hand. You can send me an email, Kraig with a K at kraigstrom.com. Kraig with a K at kraigstrom.com. And we can set up a time like I've done many times with listeners out there in the in podcast land where we can go through your specific situation. Now, on with the show today. Now, deal of the week. I'm big on deal of the week. The last episode I actually did was a YouTube video, Man on the Street, deal of the week, where I talked about my truck, and I was able to negotiate through some really cool bartering and basically horse trading. I was able to get some nice upgrades to my used pickup truck that really make me smile when I walk up to it and drive it. It's all kind of new and I like it. And there's no reason to go buy a new used truck because my truck now looks totally cool. And I'm even going to sell my tires and wheels that were on my truck. And the ultimate overall cost of the upgrades will be substantially less than it would have been had I just gone out and paid retail. So this week, this time, what I want to do is share a deal of the week fail. A deal of the week fail, and that is the Apple Watch. In 2019, I went out and I purchased life insurance through John Hancock. John Hancock has a really cool program called the Vitality Program. I'm a big fan of life insurance. I've got lots of it. I like all different types, term insurance and cash value insurance. I mean, I think there's a place for all of it. This happened to be a term insurance policy that I purchased for my daughter and I. Now, the program, Vitality, comes with some perks, some benefits that if you stay healthy and fit, you go to the gym or you do workouts and such, you can actually reduce the cost of your insurance and over time also pick up cool perks like gift cards and healthy eating plans and discounts on food at Walmart, a variety of things. It's kind of cool. The one that got me was you get a discount purchase program for an Apple Watch 4. An Apple Watch 4 at the time, which had the EKG thing. You could wear it. Notice I'm not wearing my Apple Watch. Well, that's because, this is the fail, that's because I neglected to get the protective case because I got my daughter a new life insurance policy, a cash value style policy that she can use in the very long-term part of her life. It's a really low-cost life insurance policy that she can have and keep forever and ever. But it came with an Apple Watch as part of the program for, I think, $13 or $14 a month. You know, nothing special. I mean, definitely like a payment plan, not really an interest rate payment plan, but just a payment plan. And I forgot to get the protective cover. You can buy them online, Amazon, super cheap, and I forgot to get them. So my daughter has her Apple Watch for a few months, and she fell down. She fell down and landed with her wrist, right on the back of her wrist, and shattered the screen on her Apple Watch. Now, come to find out, the Apple Watch screen repair is several $100s. It's ridiculous how expensive the repair job is if you take it in and repair it. And that is, of course, if you can find someone to actually repair the watch. That was harder than I thought. And then I decided I'm just not going to do that. I've got a workshop, right? I've got a workshop. I'm pretty handy with, tweezers and screwdrivers and things like that. And I can watch Google and YouTube videos. So that's what I did. I actually packaged up my Apple Watch. I had not fallen down and broken my Apple Watch. I purchased a protective cover. And it happened to be a cover that was pink, just like my daughter's Apple Watch. She had chosen a pink one. I got the black one. I covered hers in a pink protective case, and I sent it to her as a Christmas gift to say, I'm not buying you a new one. you can have my Apple Watch for now. So definitely a fail. I now have an Apple Watch which is not being used. It is on my workbench to my left, where I have a station set up. When I have time and I'm not painting my kitchen or working on that kind of stuff, I'm tinkering on repairing the screen myself. I don't want to pay for the screen and everything else. It's just, I can't bring myself to do it. So I learned how to disassemble. So I took it apart, and I'm learning how to disassemble the actual glass from the screen underneath. Anyway, the fail is just getting sucked into the hype of something new like this Apple Watch thing. You know, that's the kicker. All these new things, these cell phones, the Apple Watch, the various different technology, they come at a cost. They're expensive. My big screen TV died over a year ago, and thankfully I Googled it, and for $60 I bought a new computer board and took my TV apart, fixed it. TV's working fine. The other board that's inside the TV went out 2 weeks ago. So I have it disassembled again, and I'm going to fix it. I'm not going to buy a $700, $800, $900 TV if I can fix it for $60. So I just can't do it. I got sucked in on the Apple Watch idea. I thought, it's kind of cool. I can get my life insurance updated. I'll get an Apple Watch. Yeah, unfortunately, my daughter busted hers, so I wasn't wearing mine as much as I should or wanted to or could, so I shipped it to her with a protective case, and now I have a broken Apple Watch sitting on my workbench, so that's my deal of the week. That's a fail. That is a fail all the way around on a purchase. Looking back, I probably would have just skipped the Apple Watch because it's just not something that I wear on a regular basis. It takes a while to build that kind of a habit for me. All right, now, I want to get into this piece. This is one that I will probably get very emotional or passionate about. It really just rips me, bugs the heck out of me. It is a watch your step segment in my podcast. Is just always going to be there. I believe there's so much junk out there in the world that if I notice it, I want to, with my small little tiny audience and my little sliver of the world listening to me, I hope that you get something out of it that will help you avoid some of these things that people really need to watch their step, because this is an example that just drives me nuts. Rhonda, right? Rhonda's daughter, Stephanie, heard my podcast and my offer to review estate plans. All right. And living trust questions. So Stephanie heard this. She heard that I was out there offering to review estate plans, living trust, wills. Now, to be clear, I am a paralegal certified financial planner. I work with an awesome law firm. We've got lawyers and paralegals and assistants and people that can review trusts. And I've done it for 21 years where I have helped people work with attorneys to get their living trust and to get things done. And I want you to know that that is something that I can help with. Now, Stephanie's grandmother, right? So Rhonda's daughter had heard my podcast. Rhonda's daughter, Stephanie. Now, Stephanie's grandmother, Rhonda's mother, right, had recently passed away. So here's the thing. So Rhonda's mother had recently passed away, and Stephanie knew that Rhonda was struggling with what to do next. So Stephanie emailed me, Kraig at kraigstrom.com, right? Kraig at kraigstrom.com, Kraig with a K. And we coordinated a phone call with her mom in Northern California. Now, Rhonda's mother and father were now deceased. Okay, so stay with me. Rhonda's mom and dad, Stephanie's grandparents, Rhonda's mom and dad were now deceased. And Rhonda's stepfather, mom and dad are deceased, but Rhonda had a stepdad married to her mom. I know it gets a little complicated, but stay with me. So now Rhonda's mom passed away. Now, Rhonda's stepdad had passed away before her mom. Now, Rhonda's stepdad had a house back in Ohio. A house back in Ohio. Now, these folks live in California. Well, Rhonda's, the whole family lives here, but Rhonda's stepdad had, let me get this straight. I'm trying to make sure that I'm trying to remember the whole family conversation. Rhonda's mother and father were now deceased. Rhonda's stepfather owned property in Ohio. Okay? That's the key. Rhonda's stepfather owned property in Ohio, which passed to Rhonda's mom. I'm reading my notes to make sure I get this whole family snafu correct. Rhonda's stepfather owned property in Ohio, which passed to Rhonda's mom after stepdad died. Oh my gosh. Stepdad was disabled brother. Stepdad's disabled brother lives in the house in Ohio and has early signs of dementia. Oh my gosh. So you can see this was kind of a bit of a confusing mess when I got on the phone with this. Even reading through my own notes, this was a little bit of I really hope they have one certain thing done. I've been listening to this and I'm thinking, man, I hope they have one done. I would hope so. Now, Rhonda does not want this house in Ohio. Okay? Rhonda doesn't want the house in Ohio. She doesn't need it. She really would like it to go to like a niece or a nephew of her stepdad. She doesn't want anything to do with that house. But here's the thing. Rhonda's mom, they got a living trust kit from Susie Orman, the financial entertainer, Queen Bee herself. Susie Orman has a living trust estate plan kit you can get online. And that's what they did. They got this living trust kit and they put it all together with this DIY will and trust, power of attorney. But when it came to one critical important thing, and this is the part that is the biggest mistake that I see all the time, they did not put their properties, including stepdad's property. Remember, stepdad has this house in Ohio, right? Max sitting over there. Max is the disabled brother sitting over there, living in the house. So now Rhonda says, I don't want that house. I want to just give it to the nieces and nephews on my stepdad's side. I don't want to deal with that house. Well, guess what? With the DIY living trust and everything, they never put that house in the living trust. They never titled it. What you have to do is you actually have to do a quitclaim deed. Simple document, notarize. It's just easy, really simple. $25 most of the time, sometimes free. Just record it and you're done. They never put the home in Ohio in the living trust. And they didn't put their house in California in the trust. That is one of the biggest problems with DIY living trust and estate plans. People forget, or they don't have somebody like me saying, hey, did you get that done? Right? I have a client right now that my law firm just did an estate plan for his dad in Arizona. And who's all over him making sure that they get that quitclaim deed file to get the house in there? Me. I'm emailing him saying, hey, did you do it? Did you do it? You got to send me a copy of that. You said you were going to do it. And I'm here going after to make sure it gets done. Susie Orman's not calling up this husband and wife to make sure that it got done. And sure enough, it didn't get done. So here's the sad news. I had to explain the bad news. The bad news is that now, because Rhonda's mom and stepdad did not fund, it's called funding the trust, they didn't fund their estate plan, Rhonda gets to open a probate in California. A probate in California so that she can then get that house transferred into her name and then give it to nieces and nephews if she wants to. Now, what does that entail? Opening a probate in California? How about a gigantic pain in the A and a huge expense? It will cost minimum $10,000. minimum $10,000, because she has to open a probate in California and a probate in Ohio. She's got to have an attorney on both sides. So it's minimum $8,000 in California, another $3,000. So she'll probably be pushing $11,000, $12,000 for probate on a $90,000 house with a hoarder brother-in-law, uncle-in-law who lives in the house. It's terrible. It really is. And it could have been easily avoided by having an estate plan drafted by a law firm that has a duty to make sure that your properties are titled correctly, to make sure that they get done correctly. The moral of the story, you get what you pay for. You really do. You get what you pay for. You really should work with a law firm. Yes, is it going to be more expensive? Absolutely. Lawyers aren't free. But here's the thing. I've worked out a special arrangement with my law firm because I am a paralegal. And let's face it, paralegals are the ones who get things done at law firms, and the attorneys get involved when necessary. When necessary, you get the top dog, him or her, in there working on the case. But the reality is the top dog on an estate plan in that situation is there to make sure that things were done right, to verify and double check things that were done by the paralegal. So I have a great discount estate plan offer available for my listeners. So if you have not gotten your estate plan done, your living trust, your wills, your powers of attorney, all of those things done, please send me an email, Kraig@kraigstrom.com. Yes, I had to deliver very bad news to Rhonda about mom and stepdad's situation, put her in a position that now it will cost the family, her specifically, at least $10,000, $11,000, $12,000 to settle something that could have been done for, let's say, $1,800 or $1,900 for the estate plan at a law firm in California, as long as you go through someone like me. I mean, that's a pretty huge expense for just simply trying to do it cheap. And unfortunately, you get what you pay for. The DIY direction. Now, don't do your own brain surgery over there, please. Now, segment 2, some observations, listener questions, and things like that. I want to give a shout out to listener Jeff from New Hampshire. Jeff contacted me for a complimentary assessment. And among other things, Jeff asked me about self-directed IRAs and buying real estate with self-directed individual retirement accounts. And I'll be touching base with Jeff for a follow-up conversation. But I thought today would be a great idea just to explain this idea of self-directed IRAs. Self-directed IRAs. Now, first, beware of disqualified persons, right? There's a few things you really need to know about self-directed IRAs. And just to back the truck up, for those of you who don't know, you can actually take an old retirement account, let's say a 401k from a previous employer, and you can roll that over to your own individual retirement account. But did you know you could actually roll it over to a self-directed account? Instead of a traditional Fidelity account or Vanguard IRA or whatever, you can actually roll over to an account where you can invest in things that are not specific mainstream type investments. You can invest in real estate and businesses and trust deeds, and you can invest in things that are outside the Wall Street machine. Now, there are some really specific things, as I mentioned, that you have to be aware of. You've got to watch out. First, you've got to watch out when you're using a self-directed IRA. You have to watch out for disqualified people. You cannot invest in things that you personally will benefit from those items, okay? You are a disqualified person when it comes to your self-directed IRA. You cannot buy your own primary residence. Your house. I've heard that question maybe 1,000 times. Oh, if I get a self-directed IRA, I can buy my own house. It's an investment, right? No. You're going to live in that house? No. You can't buy your primary residence with your own individual retirement account, whether it's self-directed or not. You cannot buy a vacation home. I've heard that one before too. I'm going to buy a vacation home in Hawaii with my self-directed IRA. Well, enjoy your audit. And you will lose, right? Because you cannot benefit directly from that investment. You can't buy your daughter a house. You can't buy things for people that are close relatives of yours that they ultimately benefit from. You can't do it for your brothers and your mom and dad, things like that. Now, you cannot have indirect benefit from any part of the property you own in your self-directed IRA. So take a property like my house. I have a wood shop, right? So let's say that I wanted to buy my house in my self-directed IRA, but I'm going to rent out to a tenant the main house over there. So as I look over here to my left, your right, my left, I can't rent out the house and then still retain the ability to use my wood shop. That's a personal benefit. I'm not supposed to have indirect benefit of an item that is in my self-directed IRA. Here's another thing. The title of your real estate is different when you have a self-directed IRA. You and your IRA are different and separate. You cannot have your house titled in your name, paid for by your IRA, your self-directed IRA. Example, equity trust company custodian for the benefit of Kraig Strom, IRA. See that big long title? That's the title that must be on the property that you purchase if you wanted to invest in real estate. I'm using real estate as the example because real estate is actually a primary investment that you'll see in self-directed IRAs. A lot of real estate being purchased, rental properties, etc. The titling of those assets is critically important. It can't be Kraig Strom. It can't be Kraig Strom Living Trust. It can't be Kraig Strom's IRA. No. It needs to be specifically the custodian, equity trust company, custodian for the benefit of Kraig Strom, IRA, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, folks, if you're in the self-directed space already, be careful with how you deal with the investments themselves and real estate, et cetera. You've got to be very careful with how those assets are titled. Another thing to be aware of, you can purchase property in more ways than just an outright purchase. You don't just simply have to pay cash for everything. Okay? These are other options. You could use an undivided interest. You could have a partner. You could have financing. You can go out and get a loan. You can do loans and mortgages with properties that are in a self-directed IRA. Once again, extremely important that you're working with a self-directed IRA service that can help guide you through how to do it right. Oh, that is critical. Got to do it right. If you finance, you have to be mindful, if you finance and whether you finance or not, of unrelated business income. Unrelated UBIT, unrelated business income tax. So I want you to think about this. If you're buying let's say you invest in a small restaurant, right? You're not running the restaurant per se, but you invest. You're an investor in that restaurant, but you're a primary investor. Well, your money came in from an IRA, an individual retirement account that has not been taxed and is not taxed on an ongoing basis. So you actually have an unfair advantage over, let's say, another business or restaurant across the street that is invested with just regular investment, and they have to pay tax on earnings and various other things on a current basis. So your IRA gives you an advantage on a tax perspective because the IRA, self-directed, is tax deferred. So you have a bit of an advantage. So if you're actually earning money in a business that has been funded through a self-directed IRA, you could get into a situation with unrelated business income where the IRA, that gives you an unfair advantage. So the tax code says, whoa, we're going to tax that. But wait a minute, I bought it with my IRA. Oh, yes. You get the deferral on the growth of the investment, the restaurant itself. But if it's making money, if you're generating income, we're going to tax it because that's not fair for the restaurant across the street. The restaurant across the street has to pay taxes. That's not fair if you get to defer the tax and tax on the income and on the growth. So unrelated business income can happen, and that can happen if you've got a rental property. You got to be careful on unrelated business income. Now, what else? Another note here. Expenses, if you buy real estate, rental real estate, which is the focus of this discussion, because that's a lot of what happens in self-directed IRAs. If you buy real estate, rental property, all of the expenses are supposed to be paid out of the IRA. You can't just roll your own checking account in there and pay for the expenses. You're supposed to pay for those maintenance costs, repair costs, all that stuff is supposed to flow through that self-directed IRA. All income derived from rental properties is supposed to go back, into, had to turn off an app that wasn't working. All income is supposed to go back into the self-directed IRA. You got to remember that. You can't just, that income happened, I'll just put that in this other account. No. All income goes back into the self-directed IRA. All expenses go out of the IRA. All income goes back in. And there's a couple of other things. In the real estate world, there's some significant tax benefits when you manage things properly. There's big-time tax benefits when you manage things properly. Depreciation, taxes, toilets, trash, tenants. You hear me say the 4 T's of real estate. But D, depreciation, taxes, toilets, trash, tenants. All these things that you can write off as a real estate investor, you have to be mindful that in a self-directed IRA, which is a tax-deferred vehicle, you don't get to write any of that off. No expense deductions, none of that. Okay, it just doesn't happen. So be mindful. The other thing that you don't get is you get no long-term step up in basis. You get no long-term, like if you die and you leave your home, your regular real estate that's not in a self-directed IRA, if you leave your real estate and such to a family member, a husband, wife, they receive a step up in basis, meaning they don't have any tax when they sell right after you die because the purchase price is here, and when you die, it steps up to the value on date of death, so the family can sell it for no tax. You do not have a step up in basis in a self-directed IRA. Doesn't happen. So that's a big one. So keep that in mind. Self-directed IRA is a deeper conversation than just this podcast, but thank you again to Jeff. I hope this helps you as you start to think about self-directed IRA. If you have questions personally about self-directed IRA or estate plans, living trust, wills, powers of attorney, and you just want to do it, you actually want to take this advice, get fired up, and get yours done finally, send me an email, Kraig@kraigstrom.com. And for you, the moms and dads, grandmas and grandpas out there, if you want to actually give the gift of an estate plan, I'll work out a deal and actually give you a bulk discount. We'll give multiple discounts if you can bring the whole family in, and we'll get it done. I'm here to help. I'm looking forward to it. Please send me an email, Kraig@kraigstrom.com. Jeff, again, thank you for the questions. Thank you to all of you who have left comments, feedback. Keep those questions coming. And I hope you like the new video format. I'm really trying to stay excited about the podcast and really continue to give the information that will be useful to you in the long run and the short run. This is Kraig Strom, the Income Engineer, signing off. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Personal Pension Radio podcast. If you missed anything during the show, that's okay. We took the notes for you. Check the show notes for links, offers, and a full transcript. And don't forget to head over to personalpensionradio.com and download your free retirement income report. While you're there, we would appreciate some iTunes love. Please leave us a fantastic rating on iTunes by going to personalpensionradio.com/iTunes. Thanks again for listening. Now for the disclosure. Information presented is for educational purposes only and is not intended for solicitation, sale or purchase of any security or financial product. Be sure to first consult with a qualified financial advisor and your tax professional before implementing any strategy discussed here. The term personal pension refers to a marketing name designed to educate future retirees and retirees about the economic principles behind creating their own pension-like income. The term personal pension is not intended to be confused with a defined benefit pension plan offered by an employer or by a government entity.